Hello, I'm Ian Pope. I'm one of the co-chief investigators of the Cessation of Smoking Trial in the Emotion Department. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the process of participants being recruited and then discuss some of the outcome measures we're using. Just thinking about the timeline for the trial. So we've now had the trial set up. We're currently in the recruitment phase, and we've opened the Norfolk and Norwich site and are waiting to get the other sites online. So recruitment happens until the end of September, and then there's a follow-up period, and I'll talk a bit more about the follow-up in a few minutes. Then there's the periods of analysing the data, and then finally disseminating the results. And we're hoping it will all be wrapped up by the end of September 2023. I'm going to start by talking through the process of what happens when a patient attends the Emotion Department where we're recruiting. So a patient attends, either alone or with an accompanying person. They are screened at some point. So either by a triage nurse as part of their normal clinical care, or by a member of the research team approaching them. If they are not a smoker, they just are not eligible and so continue with their ED journey as normal. If they are a smoker, they're given a patient information sheet. And they're asked to have a read of that whilst they wait in the Emotion Department. Then a member of the research team will approach them and runs an eligibility check. And then if they're willing and they're eligible, consent is gained. And then they're part of the trial. Obviously, if at any point they are not eligible or they decline, they are just withdrawn and carry on with their journey in the Emotion Department as normal. One aspect of the enrolment is that we use a carbon monoxide monitor. So this is to confirm that they are a current smoker, and we're looking for a reading of 8 parts per million or over, and this confirms that they are a current smoker. So once they've been enrolled, we then use an online randomizer. So this is an example of what it looks like. So you press randomize, and this is saying that this person has been randomized to the intervention group. They will then obviously receive the brief smoking cessation advice, offer of an e-cigarette, and referral to stop smoking services. And once those have been administered, this will then be completed. Or they might get the control, in which case they carry on with their ED journey, and they're given a stop smoking service leaflet. So they're then followed up at 1 and 3 months. And the two things that we measure at that point, generally by text for all participants, is we assess their smoking status. So we'll text them, have you smoked a tobacco cigarette in the past 7 days? Reply yes if you have smoked, and no if you have not, which will give us point prevalence for smoking rates. So that will tell us if they smoked in the last 7 days. We also ask them about hospitalization. This is just to pick up any adverse events that we're not expecting. Then at 6 months, we do the main follow-up. So this is our primary outcome. So that's self-reported continuous smoking abstinence, biochemically validated by carbon monoxide monitoring at 6 months with cutoff of over or equal to 8 parts per million. So let's just look at that. So there's the self-reported bit. So that's I am not a smoker. And then that's confirmed using the carbon monoxide reading. And this is at 6 months after randomization. So just thinking about what that looks like. So this is the question we ask at the 6-month follow-up. Are you currently smoke-free? By smoke-free, we mean not smoking any form of tobacco, cigarettes, roll-ups, cigarillos, or pipes. It does not include e-cigarettes. And these are the options that we ask participants to pick from. Yes, I am smoke-free. I have not smoked any tobacco in the last 6 months, e.g. not even a puff of a cigarette. Or, yes, I am smoke-free currently, but I have had between 1 and 5 laps in the past 6 months, e.g. a cigarette or puff of a cigarette. Yes, I am currently smoke-free, but I have had 6 or more laps in the last 6 months, including relapse but quit again. And no, I am currently smoking tobacco. So this is what the Russell standard. So this is a standard that's set for both research and smoking cessation services about who is called someone who has successfully quit. However, it doesn't fit particularly well with this study because for our primary outcome, only participants who tick the first two are eligible. That third one, because they've had 6 or more laps in the last 6 months, would not be counted as someone who's successfully quit. However, because we're using e-cigarettes, evidence shows that there is often a period of people transitioning from cigarettes to e-cigarettes. So people might have a month, for example, after they've received the intervention, where they're smoking some cigarettes as well as using their e-cigarettes. And then after 1 month, they might give up the e-cigarettes and then have had 5 months, for example, of being abstinent from cigarettes. And I think from lots of people's perspective, if they haven't quit for 5 months, if they haven't smoked for 5 months, sorry, it's very likely that they're not going to go back to smoking, particularly given they've got the e-cigarette as an alternative. However, from the standpoint of the Russell Standard, they would be counted as a smoker for the primary outcome. So if they're in the intervention arm, it would be said that the intervention had failed for that participant. Whereas I think that's hard to kind of tally with the experience, given it will actually have been very successful from most people's minds. Obviously, if they're still a current tobacco smoker, the intervention obviously hasn't worked. So just thinking about some of the secondary outcomes we're looking at. So 7-day point prevalence abstinence. So this is in the last 7, so we're going to ask it at 1, 3, and 6 months, but at 6 months, in the last 7 days, have you had a cigarette? In some ways, that's a better measure of smoking cessation for this study, because that means they have managed to quit cigarettes for at least a week, and they might be using an e-cigarette. Number of quit attempts, so how many times have they tried over this 6-month period? Time to relapse, so if they managed to quit and then have relapsed, how long did that take? Number of cigarettes per day. So has the intervention successfully helped people to reduce the number of cigarettes? So here we'd be looking for a difference between the intervention group and the control group. In the intervention group, if the average number of cigarettes a day was 5 and the controls had 20, that would obviously indicate that there's been a benefit of the intervention. Obviously, ideally, we're looking for people to quit, but we know that reducing the number of cigarettes is important for improving health. Nicotine dependence. So we're using the Thagostrom tool for measuring nicotine dependence, and we'll be doing that at baseline and then also at follow-up. Number of times using an e-cigarette per day. This again, we can compare intervention and control. Given part of the intervention is providing an e-cigarette, we would expect it to provide benefit. And we'd expect that the intervention group would be using an e-cigarette more, but actually we might find that the intervention group have all maybe, hopefully, quit smoking and also quit their e-cigarette, but we'll see what the data shows. We're also checking for incidents of self-reported dry cough and mouth or throat irritation. So this is a possible side effect of e-cigarette use. And so we're looking whether that's higher in the intervention group compared to the control. We're also doing the carbon monoxide readings at 6 months. So the people who say they've quit at 6 months, we will then follow them up and ask them to undergo another carbon monoxide reading to confirm that they have quit. And we'll take the actual numbers, so the concentration, and see if there's a relationship between the groups. We'll also check the motivation to stop smoking. So is it that people in the intervention group, although they're still smoking, are much more motivated to stop smoking compared to the control group? That will obviously be an interesting finding. Thank you very much. I hope that was useful. Feel free to tweet us any questions. We're always very grateful to hear from you. Thank you very much.